Welcome to Rouse IAS. The purpose of today's discussion is to answer the questions of geography asked in the prelims paper of 2024. This year, the question paper had been relatively easy to moderate category in comparison to the geography questions of prelims 2023. UPSC has selected different fields and domains and topics and themes to frame the questions this year, ranging from geomorphology, that is the mountains part, let's say, and the volcano part, and to climatology also, atmosphere, Coriolis force component, as well as some map entries. So let's discuss the all the questions of geography in the detailed manner and find out the answers for the prelims paper this year. Look at the question number 51 of set D. The question is saying, consider the following statements. The two different statements are given. Atmosphere is heated more by incoming solar radiation, which is also referred to as insolation. I'm writing here. Then by terrestrial radiation, which is the outgoing long wavelength radiation from the ground surface. And the statement 2 is saying carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases in the atmosphere are good absorbers of long wavelength radiation. Which of the following is correct in respect of the above statements? In order to answer this particular question, first we have to understand the heating of the Earth's atmosphere, the basic part. I will discuss this area first. This is actually the ground surface or the Earth's surface, and towards the Earth's surface, from the celestial body Sun, the short wavelength radiations are fired. These short wavelength radiations, which are coming towards the Earth's surface, is composed of X rays and gamma rays. Apart from that, ultraviolet radiations of A, B, and C type, along with this, the visible light, as well as some short wavelength IR. Short wavelength IR means infrared radiation, short wavelength infrared. Now, the question is that among the following, which is absorbed directly by the Earth's atmosphere and responsible for its heating, only just a few of it, that is X rays, gamma rays, and a particular UV, that is UVC, is absorbed directly in the Earth's atmosphere. Short wavelength radiation, the insolation part, which is absorbed directly in the Earth's atmosphere. But the overall proportion of UVC, X rays, and gamma rays in the total insolation amount is very meager. What is majority component? UVAB, which I'm marking, let's say, with the yellow color. This component is major. UVAB, visible light and short wavelength IR. And this major component actually is able to, you can say, strike the Earth's surface and cannot be absorbed by the, you can say, incoming gases on the way. No gas is present as such which can interfere with this, you can say, components. So how much amount of energy belonging to UVA and B, visible light and short wavelength IR, is striking the ground surface in our example? That is 90 joule here. 90 joule total. Remember that this 90 joule is composed of UVA and B. Apart from that, visible light and short wavelength IR. I'm writing here 90 joule. And of this 90 joule, let's say 70 joule has been absorbed by the ground surface, absorption. And the 20 joule is actually reflected back. This is the short wavelength radiation, which is reflected back by the ground surface, defined by the albedo of the ground surface. Now, this reflected back part definitely cannot be interfered with the gases which are present in the Earth's atmosphere, because it is composed of UVA and B, visible light and short wavelength IR, not the X rays, gamma rays, and UVC. So, how much amount of energy of the total belonging to the yellow tick mark components absorbed by the ground surface? 70 joule. And the 70 joule is responsible for, let's say, increasing the temperature of the ground surface by 30 degrees Celsius. According to the laws of radiation, any particular object having some temperature value is capable of emitting radiations out of it. But what will be the wavelength of these radiations is dependent upon the temperature of the object. Lower the temperature, longer the wavelength; higher the temperature, shorter the wavelength itself. So according to this particular relation, what we can conclude, that if ground surface will emit the radiations out of it, 100% it will do, then will it be long wavelength or short wavelength? The answer coming out to be long wavelength. So this is the long wavelength radiation, the red one, emitting from the ground surface. And why? Because ground surface has actually attained some temperature value. Now I will draw the gaseous molecular distribution also. If you check here, green one, the relatively high number of gaseous molecules are present close to the Earth's surface because of the gravity factor, and then the number of these molecules is continuously dropping, and then afterward up to so on. So which particular radiations will be interfering with these gaseous molecules, and what these gaseous molecules are? These gaseous molecules in the Earth's atmosphere are greenhouse gases. Greenhouse gases. And these greenhouse gases actually are capable of absorbing the long wavelength radiations. And they will absorb this outgoing long wavelength radiation from the ground surface, which is responsible for increasing the temperature of the Earth's atmosphere. So, what we conclude, that the heating of the Earth's atmosphere is not performed by the incoming insolation, because although some part of incoming insolation is absorbed by some of the atmospheric components, that is X rays, gamma rays, and UVC, but the overall proportion of this X rays, gamma rays, UVC in the total, you can say, energy of insolation is very less, meager. But when you talk about, let's say, the outgoing long wavelength radiation, they are substantial in comparison to this incoming part. Consequently, now we can go to the previous slide and can find out the answer. So statement 1 is saying atmosphere is heated more by incoming solar radiation, that is insolation, than by long wavelength radiation. So vice versa they have written. This statement is not correct. We have seen in the preceding discussion that major heating of the Earth's atmosphere is performed by the outgoing long wavelength terrestrial radiations, right? And they are saying by incoming radiation, insolation. That's why the statement is incorrect. Statement 2, carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases in the atmosphere are good absorber of long wavelength radiation. Completely correct this. Now, when you apply the elimination technique in the four statements, in the four options, statement 1 and 2 are correct. You can eliminate this because the statement 1, according to our discretion, is incorrect. Similarly, you can eliminate the option number B because it is also saying both the statement 1 and 2 are correct. But according to our discretion, only statement 2 is correct, not statement 1. In option C, opposite of our, you can say, decision is written here. Statement 1 correct, statement 2 incorrect, but we have decided otherwise. That eliminate. So answer comes out to be option number D. That is statement 1 incorrect, and but statement 2 is correct itself. This is the assertion reason type of question, which is a new pattern introduced by UPSC once again in the year 2023 after a long time. Let's check out the next question. That is the question number 53, and this particular topic is belonging to the chapter of volcanism. Volcanism. What this particular question is saying, consider the following. First one, pyroclastic debris. Second, ash and dust. Third one, nitrogen compounds. Fourth one, sulfur compounds. How many of the above are products of volcanic eruption? Whenever the intense volcanic eruption occurs in a given area, then different grades of material and different types of material are ejected onto the outer part of the earth whenever intense volcanic eruption occurs. What type of material? The first type of material is referred to as the solidified rock fragments, rock fragments of varying sizes, along with some ashes, along with, you can say, some gases as well, along with the molten rocks, which is referred to as lava on the outer part of the earth. Molten rocks, that is lava. And this molten rock will cool down, solidify to convert itself into igneous rocks later. But this solidified rock fragments of varying sizes, which are ejected directly on the outer part of the earth during a volcanic eruption, is actually known by the word which is referred to as pyroclastic material. Pyroclastic material. And when you talk about ashes, the volcanic ashes, which involves what? Small pieces of the glasses, volcanic glass, as well as some silica, that is also there. Dust, definitely yes, it will also eject. because whatever continental dust is present in that particular area, that will spill in the atmosphere once the volcanic gases and other material are trying to come out and create the blast type of operation in the given region. But what about this nitrogen compounds and sulfur compounds? These compounds actually are connected to the gaseous part for the volcanic eruption. Though water vapor is the most dominating gas of the volcanic eruptions, but other gases are also, you can say, emanating, which involves the following: carbon dioxide and oxides of sulfur, which are responsible for acid rain phenomenon sometimes in the volcanic eruption site, oxides of sulfur. Apart from that, hydrogen sulfide. Apart from that, nitrogen N2, etc. So these are some of the, you can say, gases where the most dominating gas is water vapor. And we can clearly see that two different, you can say, compounds of sulfur, which is hydrogen sulfide and, you can say, oxides of sulfur, and one is the N2 part, nitrogen compound, is actually having connections with the volcanic eruption. So these two are also supposed to be considered in the final answer. Now, when you see how many of the above are products of volcanic eruption, answer will be all the four itself. Let's look on to the next question also, which is belonging to the, you can say, topic map section as well. I'm writing here maps, world maps, as well as some component relating to the geomorphology part, the mountain topic, geomorphology. Mixture based question it is. Understand that what question is talking about. There is a table with different rows are given. In how many of the above rows is the given information correctly matched? Which particular rows have the correctly matched information? That is the part of the question. Let's see this. The mountain which is Vosges, they are asking, region Central Asia. This is incorrect. Why? Because Vosges are actually present in France. And second part, when you see Vosges are fold mountain, this component is also incorrect. Because Vosges are fundamentally the block mountains. They are present to the west of Rhine Rift Valley, and Black Forest is to the east of Rhine Rift Valley. So Black Forest is in Germany and Vosges is in France. So definitely this row is not correctly matched. We cannot select that in the final answer. Second one, Alps. Are they present in Europe? This part is correct. Alps block mountain. No, this is wrong. Because Alps fundamentally are the fold mountains. So this also we have to eliminate. In the final you can answer this one also. Third one, when you check Appalachian and North America, correct it is. Appalachians are present on the eastern side of USA and Appalachians are the fold mountain. That is also correct. What about the South America Andes? Andes, western corridor of Andes, the world's, you can say, longest mountain ranges present at the continents, are present in western side of South America. And plate tectonic theory application part is there, which is able to define the formation of the fold mountains very, very clearly. Andes are the fold mountains? Yes, fundamentally they are. So definitely in the final answer, we can clearly see that two different rows are correctly matched, that is row 3 and row 4, and we have to keep this only 2 as the answer. That is the, you can say, row 3 and row 4 itself. So it was not a very difficult question, but was a combination of map section and geomorphology. Let's look at another question also, which is the question number 74, and this question is belonging to climatology, and this climatology is having the reference to one particular force acting on the wind, that is the Coriolis force, is the theme for the question. With reference to Coriolis force, which of the following statements is or are correct? They're asking with reference to Coriolis force, which statements are correct? First, it increases with increase in wind velocity, and the second one, it is maximum at poles and absent at equator. In order to answer whether these two statements are correct or not, we have to go through some, you can say, background part of Coriolis force. Coriolis force has been studied by Gaspard Gustave Coriolis, and Gaspard Gustave Coriolis has given a formula for Coriolis force per unit mass, that is Fc is Coriolis force per unit mass is equals to 2 omega v sine theta, where in this mathematical formula omega is referred to as the rotational speed of the earth. Remember that rotational speed of earth is actually constant. It is not the variable, it is same everywhere. So I'm writing it as constant. What about the v component? V is the speed of wind which is blowing in the given area, and theta is actually the latitude where the wind is blowing. Now we can clearly see that in order to find out that how much Coriolis force when the wind velocity is, you can say, uh, higher, or the wind velocity is lower. So direct proportional relationship is there. Higher the wind speed, that is V, higher the Coriolis force per unit mass, because direct proportional relationship is there. Lower the wind speed, lower the Coriolis force. Case 1, this statement is correct. It increases with the increase in wind velocity, the blue case. But what about this one, that Coriolis force is maximum at poles and absent at equator? First, I'm writing the latitude for the poles, which is 90 degree north and south, and equator is actually 0 degree. In order to see the value of Coriolis force at equator and poles, we are supposed to be aware of this theta component, that is latitude sine theta. I will draw one mathematical relation for sine theta here. Sine theta is having the maximum value, that is 1.0, and you can say 0 is another value which sine theta can have. If the angle in sine theta is varying from 0 degree to 90 degree. So check out this particular graph, the green one, that the highest value of, you can say, sine theta will be at 90 degree, that is 1.0, and sine 0 degree is what? 0. I'm not saying minimum value of sine theta is 0, because mathematically sine theta value can go to -1 also, but at 0 degree you can say angle sine 0 degree is what? 0. So let's fit in here. I will fit equator part, that is sine 0 degree, right, which is for equator. No matter how high is the wind speed, definitely sine 0 is what? 0. So Coriolis force is absent at equator. This particular component is correct in the statement. What about whether it is maximum at poles? Fit 90 degree, which is the latitude for pole, that is sine 90 degree, that is at pole. So what we can see, that highest value of sine theta will be at 90 degree, and at pole it is sine 90 degree. Consequently, the Coriolis force will come out to be the maximum value, and that is why this statement is also correct. So when we choose the correct answer, that which of the above mentioned statements is or are correct, definitely the answer will be both 1 and 2 itself, both 1 and 2.
Hello everyone. So question number 52 of set D, geography section. The question reads, thickness of the troposphere at the equator is much greater as compared to the poles. And statement 2, at the equator, heat is transported to great heights by strong convectional currents. So thickness of the atmosphere, when we see thickness of atmosphere, okay, on the earth, the troposphere primarily, the thickness would look something like this, wherein it can be seen that the thickness of troposphere, in fact, above the equator, okay, goes almost up to 15 to 18 kilometers. Whereas as at poles, the height of the troposphere is only up to 5 to 6 kilometers. And the reason primarily is where this region receives, equatorial region receives a lot of insolation, and so the air gets heated up over here, and this heated air first of all expands, and secondly the heated air gives rise to the convectional currents over here, which pushes the troposphere upwards. And so now if we go back to the question says thickness of troposphere at the equator is much greater compared to the poles. This is the correct statement, okay. And if we say see statement 2, at the equator heat is transported to great heights by strong convectional currents, which is mainly due to more heating by the increased insolation. So this is also correct, and this is the correct reason for the first statement. So the answer over here would be A. Okay, both statement 1 and statement 2 are correct, and statement 2 explains statement 1. Next question, question number 59, again from set D. This question number 59, now it talks about, this was map based question, okay, and talking about the different waterfalls. So over here, if you see, first of all, Dhuandhar Falls. So Dhuandhar Falls, now Dhuandhar Falls, okay, is on river Narmada. This is absolutely correct. And this Dhuandhar Falls is in Madhya Pradesh, okay, a place nearby, a place that is Jabalpur. So now Jabalpur, when we see, when you look at the map, okay, Jabalpur is over here. And now in the statement, they have given the region as Malwa region. Now, as we must be aware of, Malwa region comprises of Western Madhya Pradesh, okay, with the adjoining parts of Gujarat. So in this case, when we see Malwa region roughly would be comprising of this region. This is Malwa region. And so what we find is Jabalpur is not in Malwa region. In this case, now if you see Dhuandhar Falls is on Narmada river, this is correct is fact, but is in Malwa region, this is incorrect. So this first one is incorrectly matched. Second one, that is Hundru Falls. Hundru Falls is on Subarnarekha river. This is correct statement. And Hundru Falls is nearby Ranchi, Jharkhand, which is very well Chota Nagpur Plateau. So Hundru Falls nearby Ranchi, Jharkhand, Chota Nagpur Plateau on Subarnarekha river. This is correct match. And then we come to the Garsoppa Falls. Now Garsoppa Falls, also called as Jog Falls, one of the highest waterfalls of India. And now Jog Falls is in Karnataka. Jog Falls is in Karnataka, and Jog Falls is on river Sharavati. So over here, if you see, the river has been given as wrong. Okay, it has to be Sharavati river. Okay, and Western Ghats, that's the correct one. So which means now 1 and 3 both are incorrect matches over here. And so our answer over here becomes how many of the above rows in, is the given information correctly matched. The answer for us becomes only 1. This would be the correct answer. Then we move on to the next question, which was question number 72. Now this question talks about the water vapor. Water vapor content, basically the question was trying to ask us. So first it says it is a gas, the amount of which decreases with altitude. So water vapor we are talking about, and it says that the amount of water vapor decreases with altitude. Now water vapor is mainly added from evaporation. Evaporation from the water bodies which are on the surface. So when the evaporation from the surface water bodies will happen, okay, majority of the water vapor would be added to the lower parts of the atmosphere. And hence, as you go up, the amount of water vapor naturally has to decrease. So this statement becomes correct. That is, with altitude, the amount of water vapor decreases. Second statement, its percentage is maximum at the poles. So overall, now if you see, percentage of is maximum, it is asking. So again, evaporation is the main source of water vapor, correct? And evaporation is maximum where? Evaporation is maximum at equator rather, because of very high amount of insolation. So given such a high amount of insolation, evaporation is extremely high in the equatorial zone, and so the amount of water vapor is extremely high in the equatorial zone. At the poles, evaporation is very less. So in absolute terms, if I talk about the absolute humidity, okay, absolute humidity is extremely less at the polar zone. Of course, relative humidity in polar zone is higher due to lower temperature, but yet overall, if you see, absolute humidity as well as relative humidity is highest at the equator. Here anyways, it is talking about the percentage of the water vapor. Okay, so it has to be highest at equator, and rather the statement is saying the percentage is maximum at the poles, which makes this statement incorrect. So in this case, the answer again becomes A, that is 1 only. Next comes up question number 75. Okay, on June 21 every year. So June 21 is what? June 21 is summer solstice. Now at summer solstice, what do we know about summer solstice? That at summer solstice, the sun is right there in front of Tropic of Cancer. And so the overall arrangement would look something like this, where if this is equator, this is Tropic of Cancer, so Tropic of Cancer, and the vertical radiations are right there at Tropic of Cancer. And now when it is at Tropic of Cancer, what is going to happen? The maximum length of the day would be experienced in northern hemisphere. Correct? So northern hemisphere experiences longest day at 21st of June, which is the summer solstice. Now let's see what the question is reading. On June 21 every year, which of the following latitude experiences a sunlight of more than 12 hours? Okay, maximum, minimum, nothing. It is just asking that more than 12 hours, which means length of day is more than length of night. Now, if we see the options given what we have explained over here, equator. Equator has 12 hours of day, 12 hours of night. Nothing changes. Tropic of Cancer is in northern hemisphere. Correct. And what have we established? That in northern hemisphere, 21st of June is where maximum length of day is there. So Tropic of Cancer, yes, it experiences a sunlight of more than 12 hours. Definitely correct. Tropic of Capricorn, it is in southern hemisphere. So the scenario is just opposite. At Tropic of Capricorn or in southern hemisphere, this is the shortest day. And so length of night is more. This becomes incorrect. Arctic Circle, again yes. Northern hemisphere, Arctic Circle also will experience a longer day, which means sunlight more than 12 hours. And so now in this case, if we see the options, okay, this is correct, this is correct. So our answer becomes a D, that is 2 and 4 only.
Now coming to question number 54th. This question has been asked in relation to isotherms as well as ocean currents. Now this question gives you a very unique signal that UPSC tend to ask questions which is a mixture of two topics. For example, statement 1 in relation to isotherms is basically derived from the climatology chapter, and statement 2 basically is derived from the oceanography topic. Statement 1 says that the isotherms deviate to the north over the oceans and to the south over the continent. You have to find that out of these two statements given, which statements are correct. And this is in the context of which month? January. Now statement 1 is correct. How you can understand this particular concept is, let us try to examine this with the help of specific heat concept as well as the movement of ocean currents. Let us have a broad look. Let's say if this is South America and this is North America. Here you have Africa and here you are having the equator. Now, if we are in the month of January, what will happen when we compare land and water? So in the month of January, let's say on land, that is North American landmass part, here the temperature in January might be, let's say, around 2 degrees Celsius, right? Because we know that land cools faster and heats up also faster. On the same latitude, when we move into the ocean, the temperature would be around 10 degrees Celsius, right? Because the oceans will be relatively warmer in winter months, that is in January in northern hemisphere, right? Now from here, let's say if in oceans you have to see that 2 degrees Celsius will be towards pole or towards equator. So 2 degrees Celsius in ocean will be towards pole, because here you are having 10 degrees Celsius. So it might be somewhat here, there will be 2 degrees Celsius, right? Just we are trying to understand this question from the observational perspective. If this is true, because as you move towards equator, temperature will tend to increase. As you move towards pole, temperature will tend to decrease. That means what? If you have to draw an isotherm, which is an imaginary line joining areas having equal temperature, so this is 2 degrees Celsius, this is 2 degrees Celsius, this will be the bend. As you are moving into the ocean in the month of January, the isotherms are bending towards north. Therefore, statement 1 is correct. Deviate to the north over the oceans, and obviously opposite will happen on the continent. This statement is correct. Come to statement 2. The presence of cold ocean currents, Gulf Stream, which we know is a warm current, North Atlantic drift, again warm current, make the North Atlantic Ocean colder and the isotherms bend towards the north. Now this statement is incorrect. The reason being, obviously the presence of Gulf Stream and North Atlantic drift makes the North Atlantic Ocean warmer, right? And that is why this isotherm tend to bend towards the north. So second statement is incorrect, first is correct, and hence option A1 only will be the correct answer. Moving to next question, question number 55, a factual question. This question has been covered in DNS also. So which of the following countries are well known as the two largest cocoa producers in the world? Option C, that is Cote d'Ivoire and Ghana, is the correct answer. That's a factual question. Okay. Moving towards the next question, with reference to the Himalayan rivers joining the Ganga downstream of Prayagraj from west to east, which one of the following sequence is correct? Now, those who have attended the QIP lectures or have gone through the compass, whereby we have given the hand-drawn maps of all the rivers and all the important tributaries, in that map you must have seen that when Ganga enters into the UP, then Bihar, and then goes to West Bengal, and then finally into the Delta, here you are having a lot of tributaries, right? And in QIP lectures, we have focused on this part that the Ganga tributaries, especially these, the left bank tributaries, are the most important one. So again, this was a factual question, but the thing is that we discussed this in the class, and here the correct answer is option B, Gomti, Ghagra, Gandak, and Kosi. So when you move from west to east, this is the correct sequence, right? Again, a factual part, no concept in it, but yes, such rivers and tributaries are important. Moving to next question, that question number 73. So again, this question is from the climatology, that is the world climatic regions, and then there are certain characteristics which are given, and you are asked to identify that these characteristics basically resemble to which of these climatic regions. Again, this question is also very simple, and elimination technique can be useful in this question. For example, it says that 1, annual and daily range of temperature is very low. If this is true, that means equatorial climate can be true for this, right? Second, it says precipitation occurs throughout the year. Again, this can be true for equatorial climate, correct? Next, it says that precipitation varies between 50 to 250 centimeter. Now we know 50 centimeter of annual rainfall is generally in arid or semi-arid climate, and this 50 centimeter of rainfall cannot be there in equatorial climate. In equatorial climate, you have rainfall more than 250 centimeter, going up to 400 centimeters. Right? So that is why this third statement marks equatorial climate as the incorrect one. Okay. China type climate, again, the precipitation occurs throughout the year and annual and daily range of temperature is low. Now this statement makes this China type climate also incorrect. Humid subtropical climate and marine west coast climate. Here in marine west coast climate, all these characteristics are basically the characteristic of marine west coast climate given by Köppen classification, and this is also given, exactly all these three characteristics are given in NCERT also, right? So because the students might have got confused between equatorial or marine west coast climate, and this statement, basically this range of rainfall marks this equatorial climate as the incorrect one, and therefore marine west coast climate will be the correct answer. Okay, so yeah, that is all.
The ninth question. So they have asked the longest border between two countries. So the answer here is the Canada and USA. Now, whenever UPSC will be giving the options here, the other options are also in the news. Chile, recently it had a change in the government. Argentina, it is in the news because of hyperinflation and economic difficulties. And China and India, okay, they're having border issues between two. And Kazakhstan, in Kazakhstan, there was a turmoil that there was a protest against the government to dethrone the long-serving president there. And of course, the Russia is in the news because of the Russia-Ukraine war. So don't look at the options, okay, which have been so popular. And here you can see the border of the the border of the Canada and USA. So you have a border here, and also the USA has a border with Canada along the state of Alaska. Now next question. So next is the 29th question. The Red Sea receives very low precipitation in any form. The second statement is no water enters the Red Sea from the rivers. Okay. Now first let's look at the explanation for the first statement here. Now if you look at the location of the Red Sea, now you see the western side of the continents will be having deserts in the trade wind belt. So here you have the Mojave Californian desert. Here you have the Chilean Atacama desert, Namib desert. And if you consider this entire thing as a continent, this African Asia, you see the eastern side is wet and the western side is dry. And this is where you have the Red Sea. So Red Sea falls, okay, in between the desert. And here in the desert region, you'll be having low rainfall. So what are the various reasons for the desert here? Firstly, the sinking winds. Secondly, the offshore trade winds. Thirdly, the cold ocean currents. Fourthly, the upwelling. And fifthly, the upper air inversion. So all these are the reasons for the deserts in the trade wind belt. So this has been asked previously in 2014 mains also. What are the various reasons for the desert in the trade wind belt? So it will be receiving very low rainfall because of the reasons which I told you now. And look at the second statement. No water enters the Red Sea from the rivers. See, if you look at this region, you have this Golan Heights, Lake Tiberias. So this is the Jordan rifting. Okay, and then you have the Dead Sea. Again, this is Jordan rifting. In the Jordan rifting, you have the Jordan River. Other than this Jordan River, you have this Hadas River, Anseba, and Barkha River. So these three rivers are also flowing into the Red Sea. And whenever such kind of extreme statement is given, that no water is entering into the Red Sea or Gulf of Aqaba or anywhere, any kind of extreme statement, you outrightly deny it. It would be a wrong statement. So here, the first statement is right, the second statement is wrong. So the answer would be A. Only one is right. So next is question number 57. The rainfall is one of the reasons for weathering of the rocks. See, for weathering of the rocks, two things are required. The first thing which is required for weathering is temperature. And the second thing which is required for weathering is moisture, that is the water. So the weathering requires the moisture as well as the temperature. So rainfall is one of the reasons for weathering of the rocks. Yes, it's a right statement. In rainfall, okay, when you get rainfall, you'll be having moisture. Secondly, the rainwater contains carbon dioxide in the solution. See, when the rain will be falling, it is the H2O which will be falling, and in the atmosphere, you'll be having CO2. The H2O will mix up with the CO2 in the atmosphere, and finally, a slight acid, that is H2CO3. See, H2CO3 will be falling as the rainfall. And look at the second statement. The rainwater contains atmospheric oxygen. Yes, okay, it might contain some amount of oxygen will be dissolved in the water. Like you have the dissolved oxygen in the lakes, you have the dissolved oxygen in the seas. In the same fashion, you can have the dissolved oxygen in the rainwater as well. Now, how the CO2 in the water will be helping in the weathering of the rocks? You can look at this features called as karst topography. So you can see these are the rocks which have been weathered. The limestone rocks have been weathered here. You must have come across these features. These are also called as paleotherms. The stalactites, stalagmites and the pillars. So these are the features of the karst topography. And also sometimes on the highways, you'll be finding such kind of sinkholes. For example, the rock below this road, it has been made up of this CaCO3, calcium carbonate. So when the rainwater will be falling, the rainwater water will have the H2CO3. From H2CO3, H plus ion will come. This H plus ion is acid, and this acid will be corroding away the limestone. You must have studied in NCERT that because of the acid rains, the Taj Mahal is getting a lot of stains. So Taj Mahal is made up of marble. Marble is nothing but the metamorphic form of the CaCO3. So when you have the acid rain, it will be corroding the calcium carbonate rocks. So that is how the carbon dioxide in the rainwater will help in corrosion of more rocks. So the statement 1 is right, and the statement 2 is the supporting statement. Statement 2 is the explanation of the statement 1. Okay. Now look at the options here. So both statement 2, statement 3 are correct, and both of them explain statement 1. It's wrong. So both statement 2 and statement 3 are correct, but only one of them explains the statement 1. So this is right. Only one of the statements 2 and 3 are correct. Okay, this is wrong statement and this is a wrong statement. So the correct explanation is the statement B here. Both of them are right, but only one explains, okay, the statement 1. So this is 57th question. So next look at this. Consider the following countries. You have Finland, Germany, Norway, Russia. So how many of these above countries border with the North Sea? See, the North Sea has been in the news because of various reasons. See, so this is the Baltic Sea. So around the Baltic, the situation has been quite militarized, because recently the Finland in 2023, Finland got the membership of the NATO, and the Sweden in 2024 has got the membership of NATO. So obviously, okay, so as a aspirant will be focusing more on the Baltic Sea, but just beside Baltic Sea you have the North Sea here. And the importance of the North Sea is the North Sea has the Dogger Banks. It is very important for fishing because it has a broad continental shelf. And North Sea is also very important for crude oil. The crude oil which is present in the North Sea has very low amount of the sulfur content. So that's why it is also called as the sweet crude. So since this region is in the focus, they have focused on the North Sea as well. So here the countries which are surrounding the North Sea, you can see Germany here, you can see Norway here. So Finland is not bounding the North Sea. So that's why from this question, you have to eliminate the option of the Finland. The Finland you can eliminate here, and also Russia is very far away. So the answer is Norway and Germany. Okay, so you can see the option 2 and 3. So only 2 are right here. So the answer is the B here. So this is the 58th question. You can see the corresponding map also here, Norway and Germany, and this is the North Sea. Okay, thank you.